Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, it's wonderful to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to be making a chandelier for my little toilet that I'm revamping, and I'm just going to be using the casing that comes with the light. So you can see it's a little silver disc that goes around the light bulb, and all you do is just unscrew the light bulb and unscrew that little piece, and that disc should come off. For this chandelier I'm using this very thin, it's actually a 2mm craft wire, and it's a nice gold one. I'm going for the same theme as I've done for the wall sconces in my small toilet. So you need to have two pieces at 32 centimeters, two pieces at 24, and two pieces at 15 centimeters. So we're going to be buckling them so that they look like that. The first one that I'm going to be curling is the 32 centimeter one, and all we're going to do is we're just going to take, I'm using a half flat, half round nose pliers, and just taking it at the end and then just curling it. You can curl it as much or as little as you want. So I've already done one which I'm going to be trying to copy. So if you're just starting, you can make the shape however you want. So just lining it up like that and then bending it. So I've got my shapes. They're never going to be identical. I'm not that worried about that because they're on 3 different sides. So, and then just moving that through, and then start curling the bottom part up. This wire is very nice to work with because it's quite a nice soft wire, but it's quite strong at the same time. Just to get a nice curl on it, taking the pliers to curl it quite nicely. So that's the 32 centimeter one done. The next one we're doing is the 24 centimeter, and this one is pretty straightforward. It's just making little curls or like a shape of a heart kind of thing. So just curling it on the one side and then going to the other side and curling that one as well. Just trying to get similar shapes. So a bit like that. And then just do the 3 of them like that as well. And now the 14 centimeter one is pretty much the same as the 24 centimeter, just a little bit smaller, and we're just bending it and curling it in the same way. And then to the other side and doing the same thing. Just to try and get similar shapes like that, and do the 3 of those the same. I've got all my pieces made, and now I'm going to be taking this jewellery wire. It's a very fine jewellery wire. It's a 28 gauge wire, so it's really thin, and I'm just going to be attaching the pieces together by wrapping some of this wire around that point. One there, a piece in there and one over here. I'm going to do that on all three of them. So the way I put it together, this is the 32, this one is the 14, and the large one here is the 24. So I'm going to attach this one first. So I'm just taking some of my wire. Very, very difficult to see, so I just have to explain to you because you're not going to be able to see this wire. So just leave a little tail so that you've got something to hold on to, and then just wrap the wire around a few times, making sure that you get them as tight as you can. Don't pull too hard on the wire because it is quite fragile. So I've got wrapped around 3 times just over here, and then I'll be putting some of my T8000 glue on there just to hold it all in place. And now I'm going to do the next one here, but I'm not going to show you on camera because you can't see it. I'm going to be using one of these iron rings, and this particular one is a size 175 by 2.8 millimeter one. I'm going to be using what they call AB crystal beads. As you can see, they've got a bit of a rainbow color to them, and I'm cutting my rows that I've got 16 beads on each of them, and to start off with I'm cutting 30 of those so that I don't have to count each and every bead. What I do is I tape my template one to my surface, and then I line the other ones up and then just trim them at the same distance. I've got my light fitting just balancing on a bottle, and I'm going to be taking the beads that we just cut. Now, as you can see, there's a hole where the screw went in, so I'm going to be placing them next to the hole like that, because we need the holes to secure our little decorative pieces that we're going to be putting on the sides. So I'm going to be using my T8000 and hot glue to glue one bead with hot glue and the other bead with the T8000. When you glue your beads on, try and make sure that that little strand of string is lying straight, otherwise the beads go skew. This is a fabulous glue to work with because it's got like a needle, so you get really precision gluing. So I'm just gluing a little bit along the bottom here so that the bottom beads are all connecting to that one, and then the top ones will be glued with the hot glue. I've glued all the beads around the top, so just placing the last one in there. So all the beads are in place now. To attach the wires to the top through that little hole, I'm using these really tiny little zip ties or cable ties, and I'm going to be threading it through the back so that the little square piece is on the inside. So just threading it through the hole at the back, and then attaching the top part and then just threading it back through the hole. So that it's in place, and then we'll attach it later. And then just attach the 3 of them like that. I'm going to be using the same cable ties to attach the hoop, so it's going to be going onto the large pieces. On the 32 centimeter one, I'm attaching it to that part just there. I'm just loosely attaching it with the zip tie so that I can get it to hang correctly, and then I'll tighten them later. I've taken the zip ties off and I've now wired the wires on, so I'm just doing this one. So this one I've got my little wire in place here, and I'm just going to attach it to this. I've got all the decorative wire in place, and now I'm going to tighten the zip ties at the back here to keep them secure. I've got my wires all wired down, and I've put a blob of hot glue on there to keep it in place, and now I'm going to be taking my crystals and I'm going to be gluing them onto this rod, and I'm gluing them on the outside, so just one bead onto the rod or circle like that all the way around. I'm going to be using some of my bigger chandelier chains, but I'm only going to be using one bead, and I need to get some loops to attach my other little pieces which I'm going to be using, and these little icicles I just bought off Temu, so I've got some of those size, and then I've got some size 13s, so I've got 13s and 9s, which I'm going to be alternating by going big small big small. So I need to make some loops for them to go on. So all I do is I take my wire, and it's just a marker, and I just wrap it around the marker, because I need at least 39 loops, so we just wrap it around. And then when you want to get your loop, just remove it like that, and take a pair of wire cutters, and then look where the start is. So there's the start, just over there, and then just cut the wire next to it, and that'll give you your loop. And then they'll all be the same size. So just like that. And then we can thread them onto the beads and the icicles. So I've got one bead and a loop that is on one of the icicles, and now I'm just taking the little loop that I just made and threading it through the top here, so that I can now thread it onto my light. Let's bring the light back into place. So we've got a big, small, and it should be a big, but I've threaded a small, so I'm going to go into the space for the small and then just attach that onto the wire and then close it up. So then the piece is just hanging like that. I've placed all the icicles on, and I've gone, as I said I was doing, long, short, long, short. So that's what it's looking like at the moment. And now I'm going to be going on to the next step. I bought these rather beautiful chandelier hanging crystals. So I've got a teardrop, and then these ones are a little bowl which I bought on Temu. And I'm going to be taking the teardrop ones, and I'm just going to be placing them onto this large one that dangles from the end, and I'm just threading it on like that, so that it'll hang like that. And I'm putting those on the 3 end pieces. And the little ball ones I'm going to be placing at the top on this particular one, so that it can just hang there. So like that. And then do all 3 of them. I'm using a 0.7 millimeter wire, which is quite a nice thin one, but very strong. And I'm going to be making a long loop so that it can go, so that's the end one I wanted to hang, so I'm going to thread it through there and there, go around so that I've got a long loop there, so I can hang one of the other balls on there. To make the loop, I'm going up about 3 centimeters, and I'm using a small round nose pliers, and I'm just taking it and then just bending it, so it's got quite a nice thin loop like that, and the same on the other side. And then just cutting there. So that you've got a bit of an overhang like that, so that you can squish them down once you've put your dangle on. I tried 3 centimeters, but that was too long, so I've made it 2 centimeters now. I've made the opening on the side here so that it can't slip off, and all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to thread the bead onto that like that, and then we're going to put that over the main wire. I'm going to be putting this one on where the large extending one and the one that is attached to there, on this particular point here, just there, I'm just going to be threading that onto there. So I've got it threaded on, and now I'm just going to close the wires up so it can just dangle like that, and then just do the other two like that as well. I've got all my dangles in place, and now what I'm doing is I'm taking some of these metallic studs and I'm going to be placing them onto each of the little curls like this on both sides. They are little self-adhesive stones, but I'm still going to be gluing them on, and I've cut 2 of them so that I can just wrap it around the wire. I've put the glue on, and now we're just going to wrap that, just placing it over the top. As I said, they're self-adhesive, so they get stuck to your fingers. And I'm just doing all of them the same. To cover up all the wires that we joined the big pieces together with, I'm going to be using these small little kind of like flower diamantes, and I'm going to be placing them onto all the places that we glued the wires. I'm not doing this one because I've got something else for there, so it's just on those 3 places, and I'm putting it on both sides of the wires. These are self-adhesive, but I am going to be gluing them on. Like that. To cover the wire that we put just over there, I've got these beautiful teardrop diamond shapes that I'm going to be placing, and I'm going to be putting them up like that on both sides. And I just bought these ones from my little local craft store. I'm going to put those on both sides. I've got this bag of rather beautiful acrylic roses, which I'm going to be using for the top. So I'm going to be using my T8000 and hot glue, and I'm going to be gluing them on. So I'm going to be starting on the sides, making sure that I don't go above my ridge because that goes all the way to the ceiling, and then I'm going to go on the opposite side so that I'm going inward, so that if there's a space I can fill it with something else. and then just close the whole gap with all the roses. I've got the gold diamond bling wrap, and I'm taking a row of 4 and I'm going to be gluing it just around the top like that. I've got all the roses and the diamond wrap around the top, so it's looking like that. And now we're working on this part. To cover up the wire that goes around here that's holding the icicles and the chains on, I'm going to be using these rather large AB crystal ones. These are self-adhesive as well, but I will be gluing them on, and I'm just going to be putting them all the way along around the entire thing like that. I put the glue across like that so that when I place it on, it'll attach to the side beads as well. So just like that, and then just go all the way around. I've got all of these ones in place, and now I've got some of these rather beautiful citrine looking teardrops, and I'm going to be placing one just in the middle of all of those. So I've got 8, so I'm counting 4 and placing it in the middle of the 4 like that, and doing that on the 3 sides. In between this small and the large curl, which is the bottom one that's connecting, I'm taking one of these stones as well and placing it in there. Just getting a different angle, so that's the top part and the dangle there, and that's where I've placed that stone. And I place them on the 3 places. And I'm taking another stone and I'm going to be gluing it just at the top there, in line with the bottom one. And so I'll just glue that one in. I'm not happy with the placement of this particular one, so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to take it down, and I'm only going to leave 1 bead and a ring so that I can place it so that it looks like that, so it's hanging just there. And then I'm going to take another 3 with just 1 bead, and I'm making a loop so that I can put it on to this one so it hangs in between this gap here. I've got the balls in place now, so it's looking a lot better. I like it a lot better. And now I'm going to be taking some masking tape and just wrapping it around my finger so that I can get rid of all the little strands of glue all around. As you can see, there's quite a lot of it, and the masking tape just takes it off beautifully. So just tap all around the whole thing, and all the spider or strands of glue disappear. I'm going to be taking some of my bling wrap, and I've just cut a small piece like that so that I can wrap it around the light connection. I'm going to glue that on. Because it's a bit of a cone shape, I'm going to be cutting 4 little stones off the one side so that I can close it in. So I'm going to be starting at the top. I've glued it flat around the top, and now when I pull this together, it'll close so that there's no big gap here, so that it goes like that, and then just glue that down. So you can see it closes it all up quite nicely. So now it's ready to be hung up. To hang the chandelier up, all you have to do is just screw this onto the light fitting underneath the chandelier like that. So that's a close-up of what it looks like. Absolutely over the moon with that. So there's my chandelier hanging up. Extremely happy with that. Goes with the theme for my little wall sconces that I made. So they're quite matching now. So that's it in the off position, and now I'll put it on. And it looks even better when the light is on because it gives that beautiful reflection on the ceiling. If you found this video helpful or you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Really appreciate it if you would subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.